doubling the RAM in Teenage Osa's PC. I might consider looking at flashing Mrs. Osa's BIOS as well. I mean, not that I'm planning anything else, but... And her PC's not giving her any grief. It's hers turns out it's an Intel i5 13th generation processor. So that's all the thing. The other news from last week, obviously, the Honda had some issues with the piston rings. And they called us, I think, on Wednesday to say there's a couple more things attached to the engine which are showing signs of having issues. Probably because they've been attached to the engine that's been in a sorry state for the last 10,000 miles and nobody knew about it. Well, previous owner, we think, knew about it. Took one look at a $5,000 bill and said, I ain't paying that for this car, I'm going to get me a new one. I'll just change the spark plug so nobody figures out that it's got a problem. Because piston ring issues tend to highlight themselves with problems in the spark plug. So if you put brand new spark plugs in, you can mask the problem for 10,000 miles. And we've had it for about 6,000 miles, so we're thinking previous owner probably knew about the problems. But the mechanic who looks after the Saab said he would have no, from what I described, he would have no second thoughts about throwing $5,000 into a 12-year-old Honda because it's going to give me another 100,000 mile service. There's nothing wrong with the frame, there's nothing wrong with the bodywork. We did have, at one point we had a 12-year-old Chevy van. I would not throw much more than $50 at it because the bodywork was so rusted through. You shut the door and bits of the panel fell off in a pile of rust on the floor, quite literally. There was nothing about that van that screamed, I'm still okay. It was falling apart at the side of the road. So, if it had engine problems, it would just be like, they'd just add it to the list of stuff that this van has problems with and be done. But the Honda, not a problem. It's, as I said, it's 12 years old, it's still running fine. The engine, now that they've rebuilt half of it, is solid. They've replaced some of the other parts that have been rather heavily stressed because of the problems it had. So, that came back on Thursday. They said it would be done by Friday. They had it done on Thursday, and it was $300 cheaper than they had estimated. So, hey, I'm happy. And also replacing the additional parts, all we had to do was pay for the parts. They said, oh, no, we've got the engine apart. There is no extra labour to put a couple of new parts on bits we've taken off and are going to have to put back on. So, yay. And then the Saab needed to go in for a service. That was just oil change, filters, the easy stuff. But during his inspection he did find the rear brake rotors, they call them in America. Discs in England, rotors in America, is very heavily pitted with rust. So the calipers aren't making good contact with the back wheel. Not surprising, we live in Michigan, Michigan roads suck during the winter, so that's, I mean, that car's 15-year-old now, maybe 16. So yeah, the rotors on the back wheels are rusted and not giving good contact. Over the course of 16 years, yeah, okay, fine. But I did just, he said it would take me, it'll take me time to get the parts. So I just said, well, at the moment we need the car back, because he had that on Wednesday and we didn't have a car available to us, and we went out every night this week to church. So it works. The brakes aren't completely shot, they're just not doing the best they should be capable of doing. So I just said, write up a shopping list, we'll take it back. To be perfectly honest, before the van stopped working, I had literally the night before put the car in the garage and wasn't planning to use it until spring or for emergencies. So yeah, just stuck it in the garage, and Mrs. Osa calls me from church that night and says, oh, the van's broken. Oh, I'm getting the car out again. But the car is now back in the garage, sheltered from the weather, and not planning to use it until spring. So I said, yeah, what we'll do is, you have a shopping list. A week, 2 weeks before I want the car, I know I want the car, I'll give you a call and arrange to have the brakes seen to. You order the parts, I'll bring it in, and it'll be good to go for next year. And the reason, the reason we'll wait till spring is because our family really doesn't do much driving over the winter. We don't do much driving most of the time, but during spring through sort of this time of year. What is this time of year? Why does my thing say November? Did we have that last year? Yes. So the date mod that I'm running, for some reason month 10 is November. Yes, it's the 12th of October, for those that are confused by the date being put out at the top of the screen. I think this time last year I said I should check that, but I haven't, and I don't know how. It's probably just edit an XML file that has the months in the wrong sequence or something. But yes, so yeah, October we tend to put the car away because we're now down to the point of we almost don't ever go much of anywhere. And if the van has to go in for a service, we take it in the morning, we collect it in the evening, and everything's fine. It's only when it's off the road for a week that it becomes a problem. And the van has enough room for if I want to go to Lowe's and buy hardware, and it has enough room for 5 kids in the back, which the car really doesn't. So we're kind of, we're for the most part a single car family. We did have a lot of time. Mrs. Osa doesn't work, so she doesn't need a car. Even when I was working in an office, we really didn't, we made do with one car. If she wanted to go shopping, she'd go shopping when I got home, or I'd go shopping, she'd give me a shopping list. So that was all, we were a one car family for quite some time. I think she then got a part-time job at CVS or something, at which point we did get a second car so that she could go to work, and in fact at that point I was working from home, so she could go to work in the car and I didn't need to go anywhere all day, so still one car family. But it's useful having two cars, especially if I want to go and do a thing, she wants to do a thing, and it happens to be the same time, but the majority of the time we're only really running one car. And then but it's useful having especially she's been over to visit her dad for a couple of weeks at a time this year, and he lives in Eastern Ohio, so I need a vehicle. You know, she leaves me with one and she takes the other one. Although I think not this year, but last year, she went off on vacation to visit her dad. She took the van and left me with the car, and I went down to the car and the car wouldn't start. Turned out to have a bad battery, but I was basically stuck at home, unable to go anywhere, not even shopping, because I didn't have a vehicle that would go. And she had the van, and I could jump start the car from the van. Basically, bad battery. It was just I could jump start it from the van, but then it wouldn't. If I went anywhere, I was stuck there. So, still got the jump leads in the back of the car. Because why not? But yeah, it's kind of useful. But yeah, so this afternoon I am going to be doing a small upgrade on Teenage Osa's PC. She's out for the afternoon. She goes at 2, she doesn't come back till 10. So it gives me a chance, while I'm installing drivers on my new PC, I can install some new hardware on hers, and then I might put Mrs. Osa on her PC and make sure, just make sure everything's working and what have you. So I'm also planning to use Mrs. Osa's SSD on her PC, because her PC doesn't have one. She just has a 2 terabyte physical discs hard drive, which means everything runs slowly. And she has no idea how computers work. She's like, oh, if you put a new graphics card in, my PC will run faster. So, no, graphics card doesn't make a PC run faster. It doesn't make things load faster. It doesn't make boot up faster. I never actually told her. It's probably an SSD. The fact that you don't have an SSD is the reason why your PC takes so long to boot up. Okay. The plan is to put Mrs. Osa's old SSD in there, which may give us the opportunity to recover some of her other files that we can no longer access. This has quite a reach. And then, double the memory. Oops, I want to go that way. So now I can get that bit there. Yeah, there we go. Because the trailer's empty. But we'll then have the opportunity, Mrs. Hosa can take any of the files on that SSD off the system, and she can delete any of the stuff she doesn't want teenage Osa having access to off the system as well. Teenage Osa's stuff will still be on her hard drive, so she'll be able to access that anyway. Okay, let's drive that back that way. It could be that the truck's actually full again. Yep. And hopefully her PC, which is only about 4 years old, but yeah, whatever. I think I looked it up. It's running a Ryzen 5 3700G. And an A320 motherboard. So it's limited in how much we can upgrade. And as I said, I think we could install a Radeon 5000 series graphics, or possibly, I think it would support NVIDIA 2000 series, 2080, something like that. The problem is those things are so expensive. It's difficult to find a decent graphics card for it. Plus, we're not sure we really want to spend all the money to upgrade what is effectively a kid's computer that they play Roblox and Among Us and Minecraft on. Yeah, they're not playing Apex Legends or stuff like that that really needs super graphics and all the stuff. The hardware itself is marginally superior to the system I'm running at the moment, or I'm using right this minute, but it's not a big step up. I think when I bought it, I looked at it and said, it's an AMD, mine's an Intel i7, 8700K I think, so very old. But the i7 processor has a lot of cores, so it kind of keeps up with things most of the time. But I don't think, you know, having watched all the PC building recommendations channels that are out there, build a gaming PC for $750. It's most of them these days look at a Ryzen 5. If they're seriously looking for graphics power, they're going for the 7800X3D, but those things are pretty much sold out. The 9800 X3Ds aren't available yet. As I said, if you live in America or close to a micro center, you can get a 5600 X3D, which is what I got. But most of the builds, the UK guys can't get hold of the 56 X3D, and a lot of the American PC build examples also can't, because they don't live close to one. So there is scant little information about benchmarking for an X3, a 5600 X3D, but assumption, most of them go for the 5600 without the X, get the packaged simple fan, or go for the 5600X.
Hi.
And buy a new, and obviously you have to buy a fan to go with that. And that is adequate for most gaming. You will get very good FPS. A lot of it is dependent on which graphics card you get. Now, I didn't get a great one, but it's not bad. I could, yeah, I felt that the prices on the 7800 XTs were a little bit high. I mean, the good thing is about where I'm sitting at the moment is the PC I'm using to play this on isn't dead. A lot of the time we're in a serious rush. It's like, oh, my PC died, I need a new one. Pretty much right now, almost. And that is a bit of a problem. Because you're not thinking about what you want to buy. You're just saying, I need something better than I've got now, and yeah, that's reasonable price. Let's buy that one. And that's what we did for Mrs. Osis, because hers died, and she does all the family accounting on it and a load of other stuff. So we literally went out and sort of, okay, Amazon, what have you got? Let me check those specs. Okay, that seems fine. She's not a power gamer. She plays games, but she's not a power gamer, so she doesn't need a top-of-the-line PC. And, you know, it was literally, okay, we've got these three options. This one can deliver tomorrow. Okay, let's buy that one. At least with mine, we know at least one component is heat challenged, possibly more. So we've known for a month or two, I'm probably going to want to replace this PC, but it's not dead yet. So I kind of feel that, you know, it's given me the opportunity to actually look things up, do some research, buy the parts and assemble a new PC using her old case as the main chassis, and replacing every single component inside it except the case fans, which are supremely functional. I think I'm not sure if they're 140 or 120s. 3 at the front sucking and 1 at the back pushing. So, you know, four fan case. I don't think there's much problems with coolant there. And we kept the 2 terabyte hard drive because it's kind of useful to have a hard drive sat out there that you can put all of your non-critical data storage. So things like mods folders are on the SSD, but I use my computer to program model railway sound chips, so I've got folders with the various sound projects on the hard drive. It's not taking up space. They don't take up much space. Actually, they do. They're bigger than an 8 gigabyte thumb drive. So, but I can put the sound projects on the hard drive, and they're not eating into space that I want critical, you know, drivers, game software and everything else with desired high-speed access. So that's a good thing. That actually reminds me, I need to grab a spare piece of wood and some track from downstairs and create a programming track that I can put on my desk up here, rather than having something incredibly temporary and flimsy. Yeah, I'll be able to solder the cables onto the track and stuff like that, actually make it a permanent programming track, which would make things a lot easier. Still got 2 chips that I need to program. I just haven't got round to it because I have to clear off my desk and it's just annoyingly awkward. If I have a programming track, I just put that on, I plug it into the plug it into the programmer, plug the programmer into the computer, and everything's ready to go. We have to get out again.